Have you guys ever heard that you can't have lay low in Spanish? That's right. You can't have lay low in Spanish. Lay low. But what does that mean? You can't have lay low in Spanish. Let's see if you guys understand these following sentences. What if I say, ¿Cuándo me lo vas a decir? Yo te lo voy a decir. Me lo dices a mí, yo te lo digo a ti. Pero ¿quién se lo va a decir a él? Él se lo va a decir a ella se lo va a decir a él, ellos me lo van a decir a mí, yo se lo voy a decir a ellos. Pero nunca le lo voy a decir, ¿no? Nunca le lo voy a decir, nunca. Se lo voy a decir. Let's go ahead and find out what it is that I'm talking about here. So in Spanish, we always start with the subject pronouns, right? Because what this is really talking about is direct object pronouns and indirect object pronouns in combination with the subject. And so we always start with the subject pronouns. So remember what these subject pronouns are. Yo, tú, él, ella, usted, nosotros, vosotros, ellos, ellas, ustedes. Those are the subject pronouns. And then we have intransitive verbs. Now remember from my last videos that intransitive verbs are verbs like gustar. Intransitive verbs use indirect object pronouns. These indirect object pronouns are part of the equation today. So then we also have transitive verbs. And what kind of pronouns do we use with transitive verbs? Direct object pronouns. So we have indirect object pronouns and direct object pronouns. And you'll notice some overlap with these, right? And so if I put these lines like this, the yo always lines up with me, and tú lines up with te, and nosotros lines up with nos, and vosotros lines up with os. But you'll notice that in the third person, él, ella, it, if the thing that you're referring to is an object, or usted, even though that's technically the second person, but it has the same conjugations as the third person. And then ellos and ellas and ustedes. So in these two bottom sections, we have for intransitive verbs, indirect object pronouns, we have le and les. And then for direct object pronouns, we have lo, la, los, las. So if I say, me lo vas a decir a mí, me lo vas a decir a mí, I say, me lo vas a decir a mí. That means you are going to tell it to me. Okay, and so the it, the lo right here, lo is it. And then the may is me, right? So me lo, me it, vas a decir, you're gonna tell. And then a mí, this is just for emphasis. Remember those emphatic pronouns? These are nice to have just for the sake of clearing things up. Sometimes we don't use them if we're talking fast or if it's obvious. It might sound redundant, but we have these emphatic pronouns, right? And these also line up with this format. So if it's me, that means it's going to me. Yo. It's being done to me. Yo is a subject pronoun. That means you're doing the verb. Me or me, it means you're having the verb done to you. I'm having the verb done to me. Yo, I'm doing the verb. Me, it's being done to me. And I'll say, me vas a decir. And so we know that this is tú. Tú me lo vas a decir a mí. Tú me lo vas a decir a mí. You are going to tell me it. You're going to tell it to me. Tell me it. Tell it to me. Right? And so I can say, dímelo. 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 Tú me lo vas a decir. ¿Sí o no? ¿Me lo vas a decir? ¿Me lo vas a decir? Dímelo, por favor. Dime. Dime. Dímelo. Oops. All right. But you can't have a lay low. So what if we're talking about the third person? What does that mean? We can't have lay low in Spanish because this right here, may, low. So the may, this is an indirect object pronoun. May. It's an indirect object pronoun. And then the low is a direct object pronoun. Low. Because in Spanish, the indirect object pronoun always comes first. The indirect object pronoun always comes first. Me lo vas a decir. A mí. Me lo vas a decir a mí. What if I say, te lo voy a decir? What does that mean? Te lo voy a decir. I am going to tell you. In English, you can actually leave the word it out. You don't have to say it. It is implied. I am going to tell it, right? I am going to tell it to you. You don't have to say that. You can leave it out. But in Spanish, you can't. The lo refers to it. Actually, you could leave it out. You could say voy a decirte. But it sounds better to say voy a decírtelo. Either one would be correct. But if you're using both of them, you have to have the indirect object pronoun first, then the direct object pronoun, just like that, te lo. Now, what if I say, he is going to tell it to her? He is going to tell it to her. Well, that's easy, right? You just say él, because he is él, so we say él now is going to tell it to her. Remember, we have to have the indirect object pronoun first, and then we have to have the direct object pronoun second. So what is the indirect object pronoun for her? Because she is the one receiving it. And so her is ella, right? Ella. I'll do this in pink. Whoops, that's not what I meant to do. I meant to change this and then change this to pink. Okay, so we have ella, and the indirect object pronoun for ella is le. A ella le, right? For example, le gusta. A ella le gusta. El, and now we're going to say le, and then we're going to say lo va a decir a ella. Lo, we know, is the direct object pronoun that comes after the indirect object pronoun. So we have lay low, lay low. But we can't have lay low in Spanish, okay? That is what this is all about. We can't have lay low in Spanish. We can't have lay low in Spanish. So we have to turn the lay, turn the indirect object pronoun to stay. And that's what you have to do. So we turn the lay into say. That's the whole rule. You have to turn the indirect object pronoun into say if it's followed by a direct object pronoun. So with double pronouns, with double pronouns, the indirect object pronoun must turn into say in the third person if followed by a direct object pronoun in the third person. Because you can't have lay low in Spanish. So notice that I put it's the third person. That's where this happens, in the third person, because this right here, this is the third person, and this is the third person. And so it's not really that you can't have lay low. You can't have lay los. You can't have lay las. You can't have lays low or lays la or lays los or lays las. You can't have any combination of an indirect object pronoun in the third person being followed by a direct object pronoun in the third person. It's just easier to sum it up by saying you can't have lay low, but technically you can't have lay la either, right? You can't have any of them. The indirect object pronoun in the third person, whether it's singular or plural, doesn't matter. It has to turn into say. That's what's going on here. Entonces, se lo voy a decir. I'm going to tell him. Se lo voy a decir. A él. A él se lo voy a decir. Se lo voy a decir esta tarde. I'll tell him later on tonight. Se lo voy a decir. Tú me lo vas a decir a mí y yo se lo digo a él. All right, so let's do some exercises. Let's do this one. Let's just do some translation exercises. So we can translate these. So she is going to give it to me. So sometimes it is referring to a specific object. So just like we have in the model here, I'm going to give it to her, and it's el libro. And so the object is the book. It means the book. So se lo. So to her, it. Voy means I give. A dar, or well, it means I am going, and then a dar, to give. A ella. Se lo voy a dar a ella. You can also say it this way. Voy a dárselo a ella. And that's because the pronouns can go, pronouns can always go before the conjugated verb or after the conjugated verb. So let me go ahead and write that down. Pronouns can go before the conjugated verb or after the infinitive verb. If it's after the infinitive verb, then it has to be connected. Voy a dar, dar is infinitive because it's not conjugated. And then lay low. The lay has to turn into say because you can't have lay low in Spanish. So stay low. And now it's just connected. They're all connected in one word. But if it goes before the conjugated verb, then it goes before voy. Voy is the conjugated verb ir. Ir in the yo form, which means to go. Voy means I go. Se lo voy a dar a ella. I'm gonna give it to her. It meaning the book. Or you can say voy a dárselo a ella. All right, so now let's do this one. How would you say this in Spanish? She is going to give it to me. So go ahead and pause it and think how you would say it, and then see if our answers match. So she is going to give it to me. How would I say this? And it's la rosa, la rosa. So the direct object pronoun, since it's la rosa, now it's going to be la. It can't be lo, it can't be los, it can't be las. It's la rosa. Therefore, it has to be she is going to give. And so we can say ella. Ella is going. Va, ella va. Because here's, are you guys familiar with the verb ir and all the conjugations of the verb ir? Maybe this is kind of easy for you guys, but I'll go ahead and put the conjugations up here anyway. Let me see if I can find them. Ir, to go. Here they are. So here are the conjugations for the verb ir, and I'll even put the format right next to it. So let me put these on the board really fast. All right, so there they are. So voy, that means I go. Va is going to be for she. Ella. Ella va. So ella va, and we always use the preposition a after the verb ir. And so va a, and then it's give. Dar. Dar. Ella va a dar. And then the indirect object pronoun always goes first. So it's me, dar, me, and then it has to be la. Va a dármela. This accent mark has to be on the third to last syllable, because in Spanish, the last syllable only gets the emphasis in if it has an accent mark there or if it ends in a consonant other than NRS. Either way, whenever you're adding these pronouns to the end of an infinitive verb like this, you're always going to see the accent mark on the third to last syllable, always. Or in other words, the first syllable, but there could be longer verbs. And so that's why we always count it from the end. So we say last syllable, second to last syllable, third to last syllable. All right. Ella va a dármelo, or dármela, because it's la rosa. So she is going to give it to me. You can also say it another way. You can say Ella me la va a dar. They both mean the same thing and they're both acceptable. All right. We are going to give it to them. We are going to give it to them. And the thing that we're giving to them is el auto, which is a car, an automobile, right? So we say, nosotros, we are going to give it to them. So let's do the easy one first. Vamos a, and then dar, les. Well, we can't have les. Les would be to them, right? We would say to them because les a ellos would be to them, a ellos. That'd be les. But el auto is low. We can't have les low. And so les has to turn into se. And we also have to put an accent mark here. Dar, selo. Nosotros vamos a dárselo. We're going to give it to them. Vamos a dárselo. You don't have to put nosotros, but I'm just doing that to make it obvious. Vamos a dárselo is all you really have to put. Vamos a dárselo. Or you can say, se lo vamos a dar. Se lo vamos a dar. Se lo vamos a dar. All right. They are going to give it to us. And the thing is la lámpara. La lámpara. So ellos nos la van a dar a nosotros. They, us, it, they're going to give to us. They're going to give it to us. And it's la because it's la lámpara. You can also say van a darnos la. Van a darnos la. They're going to give it to us. Van a darnos la. Alicia is going to give it to Dorothy and is la cobija. Aha. So now Alicia is the third person, right? Alicia is going to give it to Dorothy. So we say Alicia, and it's la cobija. So it's le la. Ah, but we can't have le la. It has to be se la. Se la va a dar a Dorothy. A Dorothy. Or you can say se la va a dar or va a dársela. Va a dársela. Va a dársela. She's going to give it to her. Going to give it to her. All right. Mateo is going to tell it to Samuel. And what is he going to tell Samuel? La verdad. La verdad means the truth. Matthew is going to tell Samuel the truth. You can say se la va a decir, or you can say va a decírsela. Va a decírsela. I am going to ask it of him, and it's el favor. That is what I'm going to ask. El favor, a favor. Se lo voy a, and then it's to ask it. If you're asking a favor, it's not preguntar. It's pedir, pedir, pedir. Se lo voy a pedir. Or you can say, voy a pedírselo. Voy a pedírselo. And I'm almost out of room, so let me just scoot these up a little bit. All right. So we have, I am going to close it for him. And it's talking about la puerta. La puerta is a door. I'm going to close it for him. Se la voy a cerrar. Cerrar means to close. Se la voy a cerrar. Or how else can we say it? Voy a cerrar. Se la. All right. Hopefully that all made sense. I'll go ahead and give you guys another exercise in the comments, so be sure to check that out. And I'll see you next time. Hasta luego.